Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this week's video I am making the first part of my tap and die holder guide. This will be the guide rod. It has to mount to the tailstock. Because of that I'm going to use this center as a mount, and I'm going to turn down the diameter of it in the front so I can press fit a 16mm rod onto it. And to mount the center in the lathe I took out the tailstock spindle and I will clamp it like this in the chuck. But the problem is that it just does not quite fit in the chuck, because the diameter is just a bit too small in the bore of the chuck. But I think I will be able to just turn out the bore so it's a little bit bigger, so it will fit. And to bore out the chuck I will use my new boring bar that I just received. I have bought some inserts to cut aluminum or steel with it, and I will change out the insert here for the one to cut the steel. I bought this boring bar because I currently don't have a boring bar that is using any cutting inserts. They're all still like really old HSS boring bars. They're not really suited for things like this because they are just too small. At least the ones that I have, they are too short and they wouldn't have reached until the back, because also the jaws are still in the part. So I really had to have quite a long reach. And one thing I would do differently, I would somehow like put something in between the jaws and the bore in the middle, because like a lot of the chips went into the jaws and now it feels a bit crusty. But I will have to tear it down at some point, the chuck, but I think it's still it's not a big problem at the moment. And I was actually really impressed with this boring bar and this insert. It sounded great. It didn't chatter. It made some nice and small chips, which was expected because of the cast iron of the chuck. And I just took about 2 or 3 very light passes, like 0.1, 0.2 millimeters in depth, and that already was enough, so the boring the tailstock spindle would fit. And as you can see, the surface finish of the bore actually came out great. It looks really good. And the oil in there is because I put a lot of oil into it to try to get rid of the crustiness, but it just caused a lot of problems afterwards because it just flung out the oil everywhere. So in a few of the in the next shots you will see that I had to put some towels around the chuck so I could even use it, because it would literally just spray oil like in a 5-meter radius around the chuck, so that's why. But at least now I can mount the tailstock spindle in the chuck, and I can then mount the center, so I can turn down the center now on the lathe. To get the best chance of this actually working, I put in a brazed carbide tool that I ground by hand to be fairly sharp, at least quite a bit sharper than the normal inserts that I use to turn steel. But as you can see, it's just polishing the surface. It's not taking any material off, because it's actually harder than I think it was, because I don't know why it actually is harder. Like, I was able to cut into it with a hacksaw, and I'm not able to turn it with carbide, so I don't know what that's about, but I wasn't able to turn it down. So I had to come up with something else that I could do to actually be able to turn this down. And the thing I came up with was just turning on my acetylene torch and heating up the front part of it to like 500-600 degrees Celsius. This will make it lose its hardness to some degree, and that's exactly what I did. And these oxygen acetylene torches are just unbelievably powerful. This thing can heat a piece of metal up to, I probably overshot it by quite a bit. I probably heated it up to like almost 1,000 to 1,200 degrees, but it just goes so fast. It immediately turns red, and that's probably hotter than I wanted to have it, but it got rid of the hardness by just letting it cool down slowly and not putting it in oil or water to shock it. But it probably would have been already hot enough right here. I didn't have to heat it up further, but I did so. And now we're just gonna let it cool down. And something very interesting is that you can actually see the discoloration traveling down the part as it heats up. I found this quite interesting. And after letting it cool down, I put it back in the tailstock spindle, and it actually still fit because the oxidation was very minimal on the taper part. There is some oxidation on the tip part, but it is really minimal, and it doesn't matter because it gets turned down. And surprise, it actually worked, and I was able to then machine this part. And for everybody asking themselves why I use a cut-off or a grooving tool to turn this diameter, the answer is I have like a set of these brazed carbide tools, and I don't have a grinding wheel that's actually able to grind carbide. I have normal grinding wheel, and it does work, but it's not hard enough really. So you more or less just grind off the wheel and not the actual part. And because of that, I only really ground this tool in, because all the other tools that I have I have not ground yet, because I can't. I have to buy silicon carbide wheels are, I think, the ones that you are able to grind the tungsten carbide tools with it. So I will have to buy one of these to actually grind the other tools, but I just have the grooving tool and another tool, but I will use it to turn this down, because with the insert I actually didn't get a great surface finish, because it still is quite hard, and it's like weird. It was like hard in some parts, but it was like, and in other parts it wasn't hard. So it was weird to turn down, and didn't really work out that good. I had to use some fine sandpaper at the end to get a decent surface finish, but you have to do what you have to do. So it worked out after all. The surface finish also improved by using the other tool that I have from the brazed carbide tools that I also ground, but it still didn't improve significantly. I ground it to a diameter of about 12.5, 12.51, 12.52 millimeters, so I can make a press fit. And after that I turned it around and cleaned it up with this It's the same sandpaper that I used before, but it's like I used it to polish some wood, so it's a bit full with wood sawdust. So my idea is that it shouldn't take as much off as if it was a new piece, and that was my idea here, just to get rid of the discoloration. I really didn't want to take anything off the taper because it takes very little, so it doesn't fit or hold itself in the taper anymore. Now for the second part, this is the actual rod part. I started by facing the first side, and after that the first thing I did was I center drilled it. Then I took it out to the length of about 130 millimeters. Then I zeroed the parting tool and parted off the length. This is always a struggle with this lathe because the top slide is just not ridged enough for this. You can really see it on this clip, how it flexes the entire top slide. But I got it to work. It didn't work great, but I got it done. After that I faced the other side and then put it between put the center, the rotating center in the tailstock, support it. It wouldn't have been probably necessary to make the surface look nice, but it's always a good practice to do that. Then I cleaned up the surface, and after that I first pre-drilled it and then opened up the hole with a 10mm drill, and then I turned it to the final diameter with this tungsten carbide internal turning tool. This is like I got from a local company that has like a big lathe shop. It works really good, but I overshot it. So it's not actually a press fit anymore. It's just a play fit. So now the other side, the same procedure. Drill and then open up the hole to the diameter. This time I didn't overshoot it. Then I heated it up with a torch a bit so it would fit easier. It did go in better, but I needed to use a hammer to get it onto it fully. But now it's really securely on there, and you can see the entire surface looks good. There's the hole that just is a bit too big. And now for the final test, does it fit? Yes, it does. Thank you for watching, and until next week or the week after, because I'm not gonna make a video next week if the parts haven't arrived until then, but for sure in 2 weeks there will be a video again. Thank you for watching, and if you liked it, I would really appreciate a like, or if you would subscribe. Thank you.